Okay, Justin. So here's Jadyn. Thanks for sending the video. Once again, very, very good uh, pitching movements here overall. The excellent coordination, a good speed, a decent power coming for his size. Uh, very, very good coordinated movements, and this is what you want to see in a pitcher. And I'll show you what I mean. Like number one, he has good momentum coming down the mound. And we'll talk about that a little bit later and some things he can actually work on to be more of an elite pitcher. But again, a lot of these things that I talk about that you would see in an elite pitcher are obviously going to take time for him. But so long as he knows what's going on, as far as his body movement, his speed, the coordinated segments and components of the delivery, they really look very good. And I'll point out some things you can work on and some things that we can look at for the future. But take a look here. When he lands his front foot, you see how he's leaning back a little bit? That's actually very, very good, and that is connected to, it's correlated to high velocity rather than leaning over the toes. And that's called the ipsilateral side. I'm sure you've heard that on some of his videos from Brent Porcio. He talks a lot about ipsilateral and contralateral. The contralateral is when you're going back more and you're getting more torque and torsion from the bigger parts of the body, and you're creating more elastic power from the trunk because you're tilted back. I mean, Tim Lincecum did a lot of that. A lot of pros do that. So that's an advanced component that he's doing right now, which is fantastic. And look at what happens because of that. The chest thrusts out, the arm lags behind, the elbow lags behind the chest, so his chest is way out here. When he gets into full external rotation, right about there, he's about 160, I think, 164, somewhere around there. Oh, 160, maybe a little less than 164, which is really impressive. And he follows through. His arm slot is excellent. Look at how high the elbow is up. He's got the ball release is way out on top of his head. So his arm slot is excellent for shoulder health and for the arm to take that kind of a load and that kind of velocity. It should be up there, and a lot of kids it's not. And he also internally rotates. He pronates at a good spot. He pronates well. Looks like he pronates pretty quickly, and the arm decelerates nice on a straight front leg, and the chest way out over his knee. So very, very good, explosive, aggressive movements. But if you want to talk about what it's going to take for him to get to the next level, and again, as he gets older, he'll really be able to excel at this because of his coordination ability right now. Again, it's just going to be a lot of back leg power and how to convert this energy as late as he can. So let's start from the top. As he kicks the leg up, as the leg, even before the leg starts to descend, I can see that he shifts his weight. Most of his body is inside that line, inside the drive leg, and his back hip is inside the drive leg, which is good. So back here, even though you can't see his hip, he is definitely inside that drive leg, which is pretty good. So he's getting some early momentum, which is going to be key for a kid his size because he's going to need to get that velocity, and he's going to have to take advantage of speed because of his size for right now. I mean, things could change as he gets older. So as he comes down, he gets some early momentum, which is great. But again, he just has to work on this a lot, not to get too aggressive with the front side. So as this knee starts to open up, now he's gaining some momentum, but it's a little bit too soon. He's got to keep that leg relaxed so that all the weight and the power is on the back leg. The more he uses the front side too soon, then the less power he'll be able to generate from the backside because his weight is now flying forward and it's not here. So it's a coordination, it's a timing thing where he just has to relax that front leg and just allow the back leg to now start getting into that linear position and the weight onto the inside of the foot, so that as he's descending here, we can see that the leg will start to move in this direction, the ankle to knee. And he is. I mean, he's moving decently, but he's kind of combining both, where we want to see more of the back leg getting into this linear position and the front leg staying more relaxed and not opening that knee. too soon. So again, once he gets too aggressive at the front side, you don't have any weight left on the backside, so you can't generate the forces that you need off the backside. Another thing he wants to work on is take a look at his hand. He's got the hand open instead of keeping the fingers on top of the ball. He's got to get the fingers on top of the ball, so he leads more with the elbow and not with the hand. So as he leads with the hand, you see how the hand swings up? Look at how high his arm is already, and he hasn't even really gotten into his drive. He hasn't even begun leg drive yet, and his hand is all the way up here, but we want that hand down here more and the elbow up, and that'll give him that horizontal abduction that he needs, 15 to 20 degrees behind the back, which will give that nice stretch. It'll delay shoulder rotation better when he is ready to land. Also, take a look at his head. He has a tendency, I've never seen him do this before, maybe I missed this, but he has a tendency to look in our direction at the camera instead of keeping his head focused on the target, which would be beneficial for him because he won't be moving his head as much. So what happens here is he's looking in our direction, and now he has to compensate, and he kind of yanks the head from here to here. Look at how far off his face is to the target. It's better off to keep the face on the target so he doesn't have to kind of yank it down this way and away. So he is overcompensating. And why he does that is because he wants to get power, and he's trying to get it through the upper body here and here rather than leg drive. Now, he does get a good leg drive, decent knee extension. Watch his back knee. I know you were telling me something about his ankle only getting the ankle extension. I think it's the opposite. I think he's getting more knee extension because I can see the knee extending. It doesn't just collapse and then turn. He gets a little bit of both. He gets a little bit of some ankle extension and some knee extension, but not enough yet. He's not powerful enough yet to only get that without having the head and the upper body to try to overcompensate. So because of the lack of leg power, the upper body will now try to pull and try to increase velocity there. So again, if he had the true leg power that he needed, at this point right here, his back foot would be off the ground. His laces would be off the ground, he'd be off the rubber, and these hips would be turned, and the front leg would already be braced up because he's already rotated most of the hips. So watch the front knee now. As he lands, see how it swivels out? Swivel, swivel, swivel. From right here, at the point of stabilization is where you measure the hip and shoulder separation. And his hips and shoulders are still coming at the same time, even though he has excellent trunk tilt going forward and a good chest thrust. So again, elite pitchers, this is something that we can strive for in the future. But I mean, overall, he's got some great movement. So what he should work on is keeping that front leg as relaxed as he can instead of turning that foot there and now moving that front leg out. Too aggressive on the front side, so he's pulling too much, he's pushing too much weight. Even though he still has some back here, he's still too aggressive. And again, it's an advanced concept. It's just going to take time. He also should work on his hand, taking the hand out of the glove. He probably should be pitching with a glove also as well. And keeping that head right there and not turning to the camera and then yanking the head, because there's an obvious right there overcompensation of the head and the upper body to get more velocity at the last movement, when really what he wants to do at the last movement is from right here, it needs to be an explosive leg drive. This is where his leg drive begins. Boom, it's got to be explosive. Okay? And again, as he advances and get older, we'll talk more about torsion in the back knee so that that knee doesn't collapse inwards too soon. He can keep it outside the hip, and I'll explain that, I guess, in another video. All right, but really overall good stuff. Keep that head still in one position. Keep the front leg less aggressive, and try to keep the fingers on top of the ball so he doesn't swing the hand up, but he actually leads more with the elbow as the hand stays relaxed and down below the elbow. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'll see you soon.